from school, and then I saw the fire, and then I went inside.
No, it's not an excerpt from her favorite story. This is a real story of a 10-year-old girl who rescued 2 children from a burning building. Stick around for the fascinating details later in the program. Then later,
if there is a meeting and the attendant is not available to go serve that meeting, I don't see myself above going to set that meeting.
another outstanding public sector worker is in the spotlight. We're celebrating excellence in all forms for this Friday's edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Audrey Williams. There's no better way to start the weekend, so stay with us.
We are the champions of the world.
Government health centers and hospitals have an adequate supply of paracetamols like Panadol and Cetamol to treat the chikungunya virus. Paracetamol in the public health sector is free of cost. For more on chikungunya and the medication, call the Ministry of Health toll-free at 1-888-1-LOVE. That's 1-888-663-5683. Mondays to Fridays, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. A message from the Ministry of Health.
Good day, I'm Carrie Ann Smith, and this is your JIS News for Friday, October 17. The Jamaican government has issued an immediate travel ban against persons coming directly or indirectly from the 3 West African countries most affected by the Ebola outbreak. The ban extends to those living in Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, and those who have traveled to or through the 3 countries 28 days before coming to Jamaica. This also includes Commonwealth citizens. Jamaican citizens who have traveled to these countries within 28 days of their arrival to Jamaica will meanwhile be quarantined in the interest of public health and national security upon their return to the island. The public is also advised that the government of Jamaica reserves the right to screen all Jamaican nationals. Over 4,000 persons have died since the Ebola outbreak in West Africa in March 2014, and over 9,000 persons have been infected. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health is handing over temperature sensing machines to the island's airports, starting with the Norman Manley International. Portfolio Minister Dr. Fenton Ferguson today delivered the handheld devices, which will be used by port health staff to detect if travelers have a fever. In the meantime, the Ministry of Health says the 2 persons who were quarantined after arriving in Jamaica Wednesday night as part of the Ebola response strategy did not display any of the symptoms of the disease. They left the island Thursday afternoon. Acting Chief Medical Officer Dr. Marion Bullock-Ducasse says the decision to quarantine them was made during the screening process at the Sangster International Airport when it was determined that at least one of the travelers had visited Liberia recently. The Health Ministry says both individuals were monitored by senior public health officials during their quarantine in Jamaica, but as neither displayed any symptoms of Ebola, there was no risk involved.
The Ebola is spread by body fluids. So if you're not ill, if you're not having the fever, the vomiting, the diarrhea, and the bleeding, then your body fluids is essentially intact. So you can't spread it until you start having the symptoms.
On to another public health issue now. Education Minister Reverend Ronald Thwaites says school absenteeism due to chikungunya or other similar ailments such as the flu has been trending down. Tamara McHale has the details.
The ministry had previously announced that the most widely affected schools were in St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas, the corporate area, and St. Catherine. At least one institution had reported absenteeism of up to 30% of the school population. But at Thursday's briefing, the education minister had this to say.
I'd like to say that it seems to be trending down, noticeably in Region 1, which has had the highest level of absence up to now.
Minister Thwaites says only one school, Jacks River Primary in St. Mary, has been forced to close due to the impact of the virus, but is expected to reopen its doors on October 22. He says teaching time lost across the education sector will be recovered on a school-specific basis. The education minister made the disclosures at a press conference called Thursday to officially launch a national cleanup campaign in schools. The exercise began on October 15 and extends to the 22nd.
Our schools are community centers, in many respects, and all of the efforts at improving the cleanliness of the nation must take their beginning in many respects, and in others be inclusive of the school communities.
Tamara McHale reporting for GIS News.
Government has disclosed the reason it had to cover the cost incurred to send home the leader of the Jamaat al-Muslimin in Trinidad and Tobago, Yassin Abubakar. In a statement Friday morning, the National Security Ministry explained that it is the country that refuses to land a passenger that is required to pay for the return flight. The ministry also disclosed that the Jamaican government had preliminary discussions with the Trinidad and Tobago High Commissioner to Jamaica regarding Abubakar's return. The Trinidad national had initially been placed on a Caribbean Airlines flight Wednesday afternoon, but he became unruly and refused to take instructions and therefore had to be removed from the flight. Government had to subsequently foot the $36,000 bill for a private plane to take him back to Trinidad Thursday morning. The National Security Ministry says Abubakar was refused entry in Jamaica in the interest of national security given the present threat posed to public safety. And finally, Finance Minister Dr. Peter Phillips says the administration will remain financially responsible by keeping expenditure in line with revenue. Dr. Phillips told Parliament on Tuesday that at the end of July, revenues and grants were 2.1% below projections. But there was an improvement in August 2014 following a $1.7 billion grant from the European Union.
The government has noted the shortfall in revenue, and in that regard, Tax Administration Jamaica and the Jamaica Customs Agency have initiated programs in order to improve their collections for the rest of the fiscal year.
Dr. Phillips added that if the compliance measures did not compensate for the shortfall, the government would have to slash expenditure to ensure that the economic reform program remains on track. And that's it for GIS News today. I'm Carrie Ann Smith. Thanks for watching.
Don't make diseases spread. Wash your hands with soap and water instead. Wash them regular or use a hand sanitizer. Make sure the germs them dead. Touching your eyes or your mouth or your nose. Wash your hands before you do things like those. After you use the bathroom before preparing food, come on, wash your hand them clean.
Public sector workers are champions in their own rights, using ingenuity and professionalism to keep the wheels of government turning. This week, Andrea Chisholm speaks with Yvette Harriott from the Accountant General's Department as we celebrate excellence in the public sector.
This group of people has been on a mission to develop and execute policies and programs to keep the country running, a mission to develop quality service and improve productivity. Who are they? Public sector workers. And today we put another outstanding civil servant in the spotlight, Yvette Harriott, the Acting Director of Human Resource Development with responsibility for training at the Accountant General's Department.
It's gonna be my time to shine. Now I'm in my prime.
Mrs. Harriott, thanks so much for speaking with us.
My pleasure.
One of your landmark jobs in the public sector was at the Ministry of Tourism from 1995 to 2010. 15 years as an office manager. What was that job like?
It was a wonderful experience. There were ups and downs, but the bottom line is that the ups outweigh the downs, and so it was a marvelous time at the Ministry of Tourism.
And that experience has helped you because you got a similar position, even though it was somewhat of a promotion when you came here to the Accountant General's Department in 2010.
Correct. It was the Director of Office Service when I came here in July 2010. I had mixed feelings. I said, God, am I really to be here? Should I really go back to the tourism's office because it was too different environment? I said, God, you must send me here to make that change. You must send me here to make an impact. And I said, all right, Lord, tell me how to start. And so I decided I would have started with the 13 persons who I had direct responsibility for at the time.
Her first duty was to boost staff morale in the Office Services Unit at the Accountant General's Department. She did it by showing that all jobs were important and that she wasn't above doing any of the tasks her team members had to do.
If there is a meeting and the attendant is not available to go serve that meeting, I don't see myself above going to set that meeting. And I've done it before. Anytime there's a meeting, I'm in there with them. I'm setting the table. I'm showing them how to do it properly.
Next order of business, improving the physical environment in which they worked. She commenced a self-funded paint job one evening after work.
It was not finished the evening, and so I came the morning from 6 o'clock. And I was hoping that I would have completed, but lo and behold, somebody came in early in the morning and saw me on top of the filing cabinet, painting, trying to paint and paint and paint. I ran to the bathroom some minutes to 8 and changed my clothes and was ready for work again, and the office was painted.
The interior decorating skills, that's just one aspect of it. I've also been told about the birthday club that you've instituted.
Well, that started in the office service unit, another thing to motivate the staff. Colleagues, good afternoon. We come one more time to have our birthday celebration for all the people who were born the month of May, the best month of the year. Come on, come on. All right. Hip, hip. Hooray. Hip, hip. Hooray. Hip, hip. Hooray. Wonderful.
Happy birthday to you. You're so young. Age is just a number.
For me personally, as long as I can remember, my first birthday here was celebrated at the Accountant General's Department because of Miss Harriet.
And so people now started to feel important. People now started to feel like I'm not just a messenger, I'm not just an attendant, I'm not just a supplies manager who is responsible to give the store's item, but I'm an important person in the AGD department.
And that lesson was reinforced with this motto: I am as good as any, better than many, and I am inferior to none. There was also special recognition for those who provide exemplary service through the Employee of the Month Awards program. A self-funded paint job, a birthday club, Employee of the Month Awards program, they may seem simple but in so many ways are essential to the Accountant General's Department's success as a state entity, all due to this outstanding civil servant. Yvette Harriott is also an ordained minister with the Open Bible Standard Churches of Jamaica. She has been pastor of the Potter's House Open Bible Church since November 2005.
The God that I serve, the greater than inside of me, I don't just have him at church. I have him at work. I have him wherever I go. He is always with me.
And so she started a devotional exercise in her office services unit and later broadened the spectrum to include the wider staff at the Accountant General's Department. She also takes time out to offer words of encouragement to her colleagues while having one-on-one discussions.
Sasha, good to see you. Heard you wanted to talk with me. What is it?
I would like to talk to you about the issues that I face in regards to getting to work on time. And I would like you to give me some tips and advice as how I can reach here to work early on time.
All right. You know that timekeeping is critical in the office, and you just need to start to prepare from the night before.
Yes.
Because public transportation is difficult, and I do understand that. But it is important, Sasha,
yes,
for you to know that if you're late, it's going to go against you for a promotion or so, and so you
yes,
just have to try to start to do that. All right?
Yes, I can do that. Thank you very much for your advice.
You're most welcome, Sasha. Anytime.
Appropriate advice from this remarkable public sector worker who has a number of qualifications, including a Bachelor of Science in Administrative Management, a Master of Arts in Leadership and Management, and a postgraduate diploma in Human Resource Management. Training in those areas helped to mold her for promotion in December 2012 to Acting Director of Human Resource Development with responsibility for training at the Accountant General's Department.
It's a good course for her to
timely.
do. Very timely. So timely for her to do.
Did you notice I signed it
yes,
already?
yes. I don't know what she would have done if you never signed it.
Some of her achievements: the development of an orientation document for staff members, a newsletter to tell workers about training opportunities, and an awards booklet with all employees of the month and quarter within a given year.
The truth about it is that Miss Harriott is a person who is very welcoming. When you're around her, it's a natural feeling to be motivated. She is that type of person who kind of give us that upliftment feeling, and we really, really like that, working with her.
Some of the things I think I could emulate from Mrs. Harriott is her passion and her drive. I love her drive. She's always up and about. She always has something doing. She wants to see things done and get it done well.
Working with Yvette, it is just a beautiful thing because Yvette is a motivator. Yvette pushes you, challenges you, so you always want to go the extra mile. She always thinks that there's nothing impossible for you to do, no task too big for you to complete.
But Yvette Harriott has a challenge. An injury on the job at another organization left her with what she says is an incurable condition, complex regional pain syndrome.
It's my right foot that was damaged. It is swollen. I have to walk on the side, so it affects my gait. It is now affecting my left foot, but I press along, I push along, because I'm not going to allow that to stop me from doing what I have to do.
So she continued to provide exceptional service to the Accountant General's Department, leading to national recognition, nominee for the 2013 Civil Servant of the Year. And with this quote serving as an inspiration, a comforting word to other public sector workers.
And once you can convince yourself like that way, then you will be energized to go forward, regardless of what might be there, regardless of the challenges that may present themselves before you, because you're going to tell yourself, I must make an impact, I must leave a trail behind, and you're going to make sure that you leave a very good trail, something that somebody can say, hey, Andrea was here, Andrea did this.
Yvette Harriott, the Acting Director of Human Resource Development with responsibility for training at the Accountant General's Department, another remarkable civil servant contributing to national development.
We are the champions of the world. There's a power in the faintest heartbeat that cannot be denied. Go on and trust yourself. You can ride the wind. You're gonna take your dreams where they've never been. There's a hero in everybody's
Our children have been meeting that charge, displaying courage and bravery beyond their years. And for that, we've been celebrating their achievements. This coming Monday, during the National Honors and Awards ceremony, one 10-year-old girl will receive the Badge of Honor for gallantry. Find out why next.
If I could reach higher, just for one moment touch the sky, from that one moment in my life.
Wednesday, May 15, 2013. Forever etched in the minds of two families and members of the small Mount Hermon community in Riversdale, St. Catherine. It was a day of sadness, yet joy, because in the midst of danger, a brave hero emerged. Her name is Tony and Casey and Miller, and she is a 2014 recipient of the Badge of Honor for gallantry.
Neighbors come, drive, they couldn't do nothing, no rescue, nothing at all. When the fire truck come, everything already going in flame.
But not before Tonian, who was just 10 years old at the time, proved herself gallant beyond her years.
One evening when I was coming from school, and then I saw the fire, and then I went inside and I saw the bigger brother at the door, and then I asked him for his smaller brother, and he said he is inside sleeping. When I went inside, half of the bed was burning and he was on, and I took him up and ran outside. And then I called his father.
Incredibly, young Tonian says she felt no fear saving the two boys, Shelton and Sheldon Bailey, who were 5 and 6 years old respectively. She credits her fearlessness to her role model.
Because I saw my father doing that already.
Family members, other residents, and then school community at Mount Hermon Primary were understandably astonished the youngster would think to act on the lesson learned from her father.
They just keep on asking me if it's me or anything. Asking me how I do it.
Well, I was feeling so amazing. And then I sit back and look and say to myself, but if it was me, I would never go in that fire. So I thank the Lord for giving Tony that strength so that she could go inside there and save those 2 kids.
When we heard that Tony Ann did such a thing, right, she was very brave. You know, when she came the day after, everybody, you know, although we were frightened and sorry for what had happened, we were very elated.
The man behind the process of enabling Tony's public acclaim is someone who knows very well the dangers that fire posed to Tony Ann.
When we had a community meeting at a community center, and I heard about this thing, and they were there talking about the fire department were that active to recognize her. So right there and then I realized that the fire department were not even aware of the incident because they just came and put out the fire, and nobody mentioned this incident to the fire department. So I took it up right there and I reported to the fire department, and we organized a service where we would recognize Tony Ann. We held that at the Riversdale Pentecostal Church, where fire personnel and other community personnel were there, and we present her with a trophy. And I went to the school and speak with the teacher and the student, and commend her for her bravery. And I recommend, that to the fire prevention department so that they could recognize her for a national, award.
So how does she feel about getting this national award?
I feel nice.
And should there be any questions as to what this courageous little lady wants to do with her life in the future?
I would like to become a firefighter.
And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you.
Let's celebrate Jamaica to the world. Fastest man in the world. First Jamaican woman to win gold in Olympic 100-meter sprint. An upcoming global superstar. Mouth-watering meals. And a vibrant set of people. We are Jamaicans. Let's get together and bring back the love.
Pop quiz. Which country is home to the fastest man in the world? In which country did reggae music originate? If you said Jamaica, you've passed the test with flying colors. Join these young people in celebrating some unique facts about our island home. After all, it's Heritage Month.
The food!
The food of love. Sounds to really make you rub and scrub.
The people! The natural beauty. The music.
Give thanks to God again and again. Oh, if we could love each other.
This is ex-Jamaica. Or Jamaica. My country, Jamaica, is the largest in the Caribbean that speaks English. Even though we look small on the map, the country covers over 4,000 square miles.
Way back then, when your mother's, father's, uncle's picnic son was alive, we were emancipated. We no longer had to work as slaves. Yes!
And on August 6, 1962, we became independent. We were now responsible for ourselves. And we were the first English-speaking country in the Caribbean to do so.
Ending slavery was not the only good thing. In 1944, Mommy and Daddy got the chance to choose who should run the country by voting. Did you know that the largest parish in Jamaica is St. Anne? And you'll never guess what the longest river is. It's the Rio Minho in Clarendon.
Our national flag is also unique. The Jamaican, Libyan, and Mauritanian flags are the only ones that do not have the colors of the American flag: red, white, or blue.
And did you know that Jamaica was the first commercial producers of banana in the Western Hemisphere? The Manchester Golf Club is also the oldest golf club in the Western Hemisphere. Our Milk River Bath and Mineral Spa is the most radioactive in the world, and that's a good thing. The Kingston Harbor is the 7th largest natural harbor in the world.
And do you know the birthplace of reggae music is right here in Jamaica? One love, one heart, let's get together and feel alright.
Hear the children crying, hear the children crying.
It can be black or creamy. What am I talking about? The Jamaican Blue Mountain Coffee, which so many people love. And the Jamaica rum, Daddy says is good. It's sell off.
Jamaica is also home to the fastest man in the world, Usain Bolt, to the world. And we are the first and only country to hold the male 100-meter title at all levels, including Olympics and World Champs.
And it's not only track and field that we are good at. We do not have snow, but we do participate in the Winter Olympics. Cool runnings.
Jamaica's culture is also one that will definitely light up a room. The language of emoticons: : capital D. Say you're in downtown Kingston and you want to get to Halfway Tree. You ask,
how far is Halfway Tree from here?
The response?
Just around the corner, man.
Only in Jamaica when you ask,
which part you there?
I'm so far, man.
Then they arrive in the next few hours.
Some things just can't be said in English. You are talking too much. No, you just a chat to tag along, so.
My country, Jamaica, has a rich heritage and is very unique. If we all pull together, we can make it the place of choice to
live, work, raise family, and to do business.
And that's it for this Friday's edition of Jamaica Magazine. Do remember to view our features at jis.gov.jm. Follow us on Twitter at JIS News and send your feedback to jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. I'm Audrey Williams, and this has been Jamaica Magazine. Another program comes your way tomorrow. Till then, be extra careful on the roads this holiday weekend.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.